Okay, is it a screen for adoption of IPSAS standard in the Philippines? It's similar with my screen and your screens. You can see the flag of Philippines. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Thank you for coming early, and we will start about the sessions today for the lecturings about the adoptions of international public sectors while it's become a standard for financial reportings, and also it's very important to be a financial analyst and for the accountant and also an auditors to create or to know about the basic standards while we are doing in your country, Philippines. We have some case study overview that has been taken, and I still I'm loaded in your virtual class in the last meetings, in the last sessions. Yeah, we will take some objective why we need to learn about the adoption of IPSAS in your country, Philippines. In overalls, we have 3 points to be learned about this case study. The number one is we need to exploring what is the practices. It means we can take, but only for the good practices and the lessons that we can find for the IPSAS adoptions in your country. And the second one, we have to make some stimulate a dialogue about the public financials management. What is the public financial management or PFM? This is a act of reforms in your finance, yeah. Or in the simple way, we can find we can say that there is a financial reform they take an actions by your country, and it's supporting about the considerations in companies financial reporting that should be provided by auditors and also by the internal of management. So the PFM or public financial management is make some bodies that should be engaged by the function of auditors, the accountant, and also for the internals in the companies. Yeah. What is the backgrounds? Why we need to know, we need to learn about the public financials management? Because in your country, in the Philippines, they are make some new financial reparations. This financial reparations is comes from the basically starting in 2014, yeah, because the formal adoptions of IPSAS is very dominant after the 2010, and in the Philippines especially, they are very having a great focus after 2014, yeah. And after that, they have make some new agreements about the PIVA. What is the PIVA? PIVA is a public and expenditure and a financial accountability. That's very important, basically, and they make some mapping about the past activity, the present activity, and what is for the futures. When make some plans, when they make some roadmaps for the PIFA starting in 2016 to create or to make some stronger about the PFM system. So it doesn't mean that your PFM is weak. No, it's not simple like that. The PFM is has been done in your country, Philippines, but they want us to create us stronger about the public financial management using the PIVA. Yeah. The effect, while we are doing about the PIFA in 2016, they make a PDP, the Philippines Development Plan. It's taking time for 5 year in actions. And now we are currently is taking for the second PDP, the 2023 to 2028. Yeah. Okay. What is the missions while we learning about the public financials management? The public financials management or PFE is led by the Commission on Audits by the government agency, yeah, COA, yeah, the Commission of Audits, because this is adopting lots of IPSAs, yeah. The lot of IPSAs is starting in 20 and 14, and until now we have maybe not in the current positions there are more than 25 of PPSS, yeah, and mostly over than 20, or maybe I say that maybe over than 30,000 accountant has been trained, yeah, by your governments, by the Commission of Audits, and make some progress with the continuous integrations between the two systems, ENGAS and e-budgets. Yeah, the ENGAS is restructured about the electronics non-government accounting system. So it's applied for non-government or NGO. But for the e-budget is combining about the governmental and non-social activity. So they will be combined about these e-statements. They are both in digitally access. So we can access in everywhere, every times, choosing ENGS and e-budget systems. Yeah. In the progress, we need to know about the country context. It means that you're basically context in the Philippines. Why it's important to learn today? Yeah, because the Philippines is one of the fast growing economy, especially in Southeast Asia and also in Asia. Yeah, there are a lot of public investment, yeah, but it means that they need more financial transparency, yeah, more investment. It's, you can say that there is needs a lot of transparencies. So the needs about the growth, the need for the accountability, the need about any kind that support them, and any kind that can be perfect match, and make sure that okay, I can invest in your country, I can invest in your projects with a good or with a growth of wealth. Yeah, this is the specific country context for Philippines. What is the key challenges while we identified using the PIVA in 2016? Yeah. At the starting point, we learned that there is a weak financial integrity in your country. Yeah, while we know that, yeah, we have the commissions of audits before that, but they're still in a weakness of financial integrity. The second challenge is we have the incomplete of departmental audits in a government and also in non-government. So the align between the budgets, the align between the plan, and the align between the government program is still disconnected. So the PIFA will connect this, all of the link between the budgets, the accounting systems, the program, so they can make some compatibility. They can tracking about the developments, and also the transparency and the accountability has been done after the PIVA projects in 2016. The roadmap is starting in 2017 until 2022. Yeah. Basically, they are focused on transparency because they need a lot of trust from the citizens. And then after they get about the trust, they get about the transparency, so they will be create about the efficiency of governance. Yeah. Not a vision of the cost of governance. No, this is the efficiency of governance. Sorry, yeah. The efficiency of not talking about the cost, but the efficient about how to do or how to govern the program or the system. And after that, They can make some focus with the competency in a public financials management framework. They create some first roadmap in a 5 year in 17 to 22, and they will be continuing about creating more capacity, more essential products, so they can build about the essential capacity to the auditor. Okay, let me continue. Yeah. The structure of government is consists of the LGU. The LGU is a local government units, or we can say that there is a local government officer or local government agents. They are diverse, very diverse between the central and regional government and also for the decentralized organizations, yeah, that are not only take for the central or local, they may be very diverse, very divergent, because your country, specifically in archipelagic challenges, yeah, most of the archipelago, and they need about the training that should be in implement and also well trained by the governments. So this is a very hard challenges that should be happen in the structure of governments. It's similar with my country, Indonesia. We have lots of archipelago. What is the audit and accounting environments that should integrate and happen in your country? Since we recognize your professions in accounting, in the Philippines, in my note, is taken starting in 1923. So it means it's a long time ago, yeah. But we need to still create about the networking between a local accountant and international collaborations. We can start about the PCEPA, the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants. This is a local. This is for the internal auditors, the local auditors, basically on Philippines, and they need to collaborate with the government's Association of Public Accountant, KACPA. Yeah. So the public accountant, combining both the pub and the government accountants, they make some extension network to the internationals like the AASG. Since in 1991, they can make some good relationships and the provisions about the auditing and accountings by the public and non-public sectors starting in 1991, and now they are combining about the FRSC, the Philippine Financial Sustainability Reporting Standard Councils. So the council is a very high board. This is the highest one to make some monitoring to ensuring that the work done for your Philippines Institute of Accountants or the PICPA and the GICPA is well done, or they can be do in some integrations. So this one is the councils to monitor and to keep the connecting about the public sector and non-public sector. How about the budget process? Basically, they have or they're facing about the similar or general temptations like the four phases. We need to prepare the budgets. You need to prepare the details. You need to publish your budgets, and so it make be a transparent. It could be can be disseminated to your citizens, and they can make some a public hearing after you prepare your budgets. And then your legislation standard or legislation bodies will creating some agreements that, okay, we can execute these budgets, or we can revise the budgets, or we can reject the budgets. Yeah. The product of legislations bodies in here, say I say that for the executions, we have found in the three positions. We can accept it, we can make revisions, and also we can make some rejections. Yeah, after that, after the execution of the budgets, we need some maybe 6 until 12 months to make some review about the budgets that have been happened for the previous years. So we need to make some involvement with a budget partnership agreements, and also while we going about the cash reform in the public budgeting law. Yeah, because any accountants using the accrual systems, but still in the public sector, we are focused on the case base of budgeting because the basic of governmental is from the fiscal, not for the accrual systems. Yeah. What is the timeline to adopt about the IPSAS for the international standard going to the global, sorry, from the local standards? Yeah. The Philippines start in 2008, yeah, and then they starting adopting in 20 and 14 with some adoptions for the essential pillars at the first, and now we are moving forwards, and that they make a new progress again in 20 and 16 and until 2020, yeah, the whole of the government accounts has been adopted from the IPSAS or the international standard. So, for this fact, we can say that a lot of the adoptions has been done, or maybe mostly done by your country. So this is the fact about the data in the training and the capacity buildings. We have trained a lot of the 20,000 staff. It means that for the accountants, and this one will be applied in a web-based tool for the accounting financial reporting system, AEFRS, and budget financial accounting reporting system, BFRS, and to create about the two kind of system, the NGAS and the budgets, they will be integrated in a one applications and also with the one capacity to learn, to know, and to have a knowledge how to evaluate the progress. Yeah, this is the lesson learned that we can make some agreement about the case study in your country, Philippines. For the timetables, we know that the adoption is not instantly. There is a long-term commitment by the governments, the accountant, and also for the citizens to create some trustiness. Yeah, there is no public trust issue. Yeah, they need a trust, they need a transparent, and they can gain about the commitment from the governments to the peoples. The next positions that we learn about the self-study in your country is about the flexibility and the adaptations that should be required to make a great or better performance by the financials reporting in accounting and auditing. And in the last meetings, there is still lots of training to make your resource maybe have a good progress of developments from the local accountants, from the global accountants that working in your country, Philippines, or maybe for everyone that having done the any activities that need some transparency and accountability, even they are in the public sectors like the governance or the profit sectors. Yeah. This is the benefits that we can taken for the implementation in your country. Yeah. Using the PFM, the Public Financials Management, it's reliables to enhance the transparency and accountability. Yeah. For the key process starting in 2014, 2016, and until after 2020, they have lots of process, a good progress about to create some transparency and also for accountability. And what is the effect about the transparency and accountability. They can make some encourages about the foreign investment. Yeah, they have some great deals. They have lots of public investments, and also they have some investors to make the governments become better. And also they have a better financial support, and also they can make decision making is very, very precisely because they, there's something about have some strengths, the restrictions about the using budget in their program or their activities. Yeah. After that, we can find about the positive actions, the positive effect that we can drive for Philippine applications. So this is the recommendation to the other country out of the Philippines. Yeah, we need to match about the EBSAS, the global standard, and drive this one, adopt this one into local government structure. Philippines does. Yeah, they can create mostly based the standard from the EBSAS, and they can do a better progress. The second one, we need to engage about the accounting professions. Yeah, the early engage is a better. Yeah, because there is no wasting time to create some engagement or a good relationships between an accountant and also the government agent. And the last recommendations, they can invest about the training, a lot of trainings, and maybe it could change about the management patterns. Yeah, it's very important to change about management patterns to create some efficiency in a governance. So, in the end of the first sessions, we learned that the IPSAS is a global standard. So the adoptions maybe is a complex, but it have some good reward while the countries can make a smooth IPSAS adoptions from the global going through the local applications. Yeah, this is very important that we can find in the Philippines. The second one's the Philippine offering about the valuable model in the financial reform sector. Yeah. So for every countries, we can create some mirror activities. We can create some insight. What have done in the Philippines and what is the key success factor that they can make good reforms in a governance and the financial models. And the last ones, there's still continuing process. Yeah, there is no ending process. It means that you need an effort, you need a maintain, and also you need to create a good progress, a positive progress. So it means that the adoption is not a cycle only. They should be in a process in every time. Yeah, so we cannot stop it because the global standard has been moving and still make some changing. So I know it's challenging, but the Philippines give a fact that they can do very nice. They can create some new valuable models, and they can still to continue the progress. I mean, for the good progress in this country. I think that's the material for the sum up about the last meetings. While we should learning about the case study, what is the happen in public sector accounting in the Philippines after the public financials management reform in 2016. Any questions so far from the students? I think lots of the initials has been is not is not maybe some of them is not mostly in general or maybe not in a you say that maybe you are familiar but sometimes we don't know about the familiar like the public financial management. Maybe most of the student doesn't know, but your governments have set this program is maybe 20 years ago. Yeah. Second ones, we have to continue about the chapter 9 in your ebooks. We talk about the performance, yeah, the performance of auditing in a public sector. It's taken for the public sector accounting ebooks as the main progress in our lecture, and it's take in chapter 9. Yeah, in this chapter, we learn about a four key point, how we understand the audit performance, how we can different about the traditional and the extended performance in auditing, and why we can make some examine about the compliance in integrations, and also exploring about the performance auditor roles. Yeah, we can start about what is the performance audits. Yeah, the performance audits are more relevant in a public than the private sector because the private sector is focusedly on investor. They can create some examinations or the performance based on the profits, the loss, or the projections. But in the public sector, we doesn't take any profit as the first one or as the goal of organizations. The profit is not in the main focus in the public sector. In the public sector, we have a specific focus, the performance for the community. Yeah. So we need to ensuring about the value for money concepts for the citizens because our audience, our targeting is the citizens, not the investor or the shareholder. So it has some challenges. It's a big challenges. Like we have a diverse goal between the public and private. We also have the political influences. While the private, it doesn't have the stress like that. And the accountability is still different. In the private sector, you only have accountable for the investor or shareholder. But for the public entities, you have accountables to all of the citizens. So your shareholder, or I mean that's your stakeholder is mostly the citizen. According for this that's informations. So in the performance in the public sector, specifically, there is no universally accepted decisions. But any kind of the performance, let's say maybe for the fast of services, maybe for the act of services, what kind of that? Yeah, they can should be in any kinds of definitions about the performance in auditing. So in those I said that they have to be examined in three layers. We can, some of the book say that there is a triple E. Yeah, what is the triple E? Is talk about the economy, the efficiency, and also the effectiveness, and the focus only for the public administrations. Yeah. In a simple way, for the auditors, we learn as the value for money. Yeah. But basically, in your literal references, most of the books using the triple E. Okay. What is the triple E? The triple E is untraditional performance audits. This is taken in a long time ago, maybe starting in 1980. Yeah. What is the 3E? 3E is combinations between economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. The economy means that you need to minimize your resource use. Yeah, minimize your output. This is minimize your input. That will learn you about what is the economics. And then after You can make some control for the economy. You need to control about your efficiency. What we do in efficiency, we need to maximize your output from the kind of what kind of givens of inputs. Low inputs, you still can maximize your output. High input, you still make a good maximize in your output. They're talking about the efficiency. And the effectiveness is talk about the impact, the achieving, the desire, and also the outcome. Yeah. The triple E has been applied widely in a global. Yeah. We can say that Canada is applied, UK and Australia, also the America. They can apply the triple E performance of auditing. So your country or maybe our country just do with the simple way that's a global just for the performance audit. But in the current positions or in the current era, we have broadened the scope of triple E. It's not only for economy, for the inputs, but the process and the outputs. The including is a four kind of area. The audit systems, yeah, because we are in a digital area. Eh? And we have the administrations. Don't forget about the evidence. I know the evidence may be provided by the digital document like the PDF, the Microsoft Words, and also what kind of files, yeah, they still have evidence and the goal related to your audit progress. And the last point standing is about the policy. The policy about some audit process. Yeah. While we combine about the performance and the compliance, it's have the difference focus. The compliance audit, I mean, that this only focus on the legal aspect, not by the finance. Yeah. Let it say that we can ignore, yeah, there's no big ignorance, but there's still immaterial process, but their main focus is only for the legality and the adherence of the auditing process, while the performance they can focus on outcome itself, for the costs, maybe for the profits, for the activity, the percentage of program that has been done, and they can combine any kind for the accountability. That's the differences between the compliance and performance. The performance should be can be measurable, but the compliance is different. They should be in two axes. It's legal or not legal. So that's in those said that you can may make some compliance, but the effect maybe it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So this is a two process that have been differs between performance and a compliance. So what is the role of us for the auditors? Yeah. We have some roles in the companies. Yeah. The first one, while you are an accountant, you become a controller in your internal organizations. It means that you can say that you are an internal auditor. You can ensuring about the compliance of your companies or maybe for your institutions. And then ensuring about the accountability, how they do, how they create, how they make some transparent activity. The second ones, as an accountant, you can take a role as a consultant that make some suggestions for improvement to create a good progress, a good performance from, or sorry, for the organizations. Another while, the accountant in educations, yeah, we can say that you can take a role of researcher. You can explore the pattern. You can find about how to do, and what the evaluates score what is the best models that we can make some impact from the auditing activity. And also, we can do a performance in the sentencers. What it does means they have judges for the past actions. They have the a good experience about the companies running usual business, and also they can create some new evaluations while the activity is very traditionals or maybe very innovative, or they doesn't have anything to be involved for the current or maybe for the future. Yeah. The last one about the challengings. Yeah. Auditor can make some performance to challenge. Yeah. Can we maintain the data? Because we are in the digital area. Can we create still in independence after all of the information has been open to us? It's very important because auditor should be in an independent. An auditor should be make a professional skepticism. Yeah. In the practice, we have some challenges. To maintain the auditor independence is very hard because we know that while we do in companies or organizations, sometimes the best motive of us is about the salary, it's about the positions. So it's very hard to maintain about your independence while you have looking at are you getting some higher salary from the different practices, or maybe you offering for the higher job positions. Yeah, I know this is very hard, but uh, this is the reality. Yeah, the auditor still they have make some progress in independence. They still have a problem about the independence. The second one, they should have a challenges in balancing about the multiple roles. Some of us maybe take a role as an accountant, but in some day after the end of the year, they also doing as the auditors too. They need to evaluate the performance. They need to evaluate the inputs. They need to evaluate the an outputs, and also they can make some suggestion to the company. Even they are the part of the organizations. So it's very hard to balancing all of this role in one person in one activity. The next challenge is about public sector accounting is we have a high sensitivity. High density in the political findings is very, very awesome. More power, it means that more challenge. This is the political sensitivity. And sometimes for the interpretation is difference between the countries, between people, and it's also because your country is consists of the archipelago, like Indonesia. So it's very fire about the interpret and very hard to inform from the one to another archipelago. Okay. In the end of the performance, we learn that the performance audit is very essential, especially for the public organizations. Yeah. In some of criteria, we say that PSO, public service obligations. Yeah. It's very essential. And while we focus on the traditional model like the triple E, the economy, efficiency, and effectiveness, we still do about the extended audit progress, like checking about the compliance audit, focus on their policy, focus for their system, and also they can enrich the performance auditing to in a normal editions, yeah, in the based on the regulations, based on the compliance. And the last ones, the auditor should make some balancing activity. I know we are all of accountants work from the organizations. But in this case, as the auditors, you need to make some response. You need to make some associations. You need to evaluate. You need to score your organizations. Even they are doing a good or bad, just make some standpoint because you need to be an independent, like the oath of the accountant. We should in independent positions. So the auditor is one of us. The auditor is the one of the profession in accounting. So we have to stand in our roles and balancing about the integrity. The accounting integrity is similar with the auditor integrity. They have to be in skepticism, have to be in a good manner, and also stay independently. Yeah, that's all for today. We have covered two materials from the overview what happened in your country, Philippines. We start from there, and we end about the performance auditing in a public sector. Any questions so far from the students? We can make some discussions. Any questions? Okay. While you're looking at the virtual class, yeah, yeah. When you look at the virtual class, we are in 2nd June. Okay, it means that we still have two meetings. In 9 June, I have including about these materials. You can look at for this DOI. Yeah, this is the future of public sector accounting research. They have a very classic research that should be have a debate in our public sector. I think that you need to know, you need to learn this one to uh, make a better progress for the futures. And in the last meetings, we have some review topics before we are doing a final test in 23 of June. This is our schedule. Yeah. So don't forget, we have two meetings left to finish these sessions. And for the next week, you can access you with the click of the DOI and you can going through these articles. The future of public sector accounting research, and you can save from the PDF. Yeah. And you can make some individuals reading by yourself and we can discuss in the next meeting to know about what is the basic idea, what is the good idea that should be blowing up, that should be learned in this case for the paper in from Grossi and the friends, right? Okay, any questions? Any question, everyone? None so far? Okay, thank you for coming in the class for the session in the 2nd June. I hope you are in a good conditions and we can meet again in the next Monday, next week's. Yeah, we still have synchronizations with the officials Zoom meeting that has been informed you by the virtual bodies or by the international office. Okay. If you have any questions to be discussed, you can email me or you can ask with your virtual bots, with virtual buddies, and they can offering to me and also inform to me about your questions, and I will give you an answer if you want to know about the details about your questions. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for Alexa and Catherine that has been joining with us today. And see you for the next sessions in 9 June. Good evening, everyone.